Welcome to 2025. What does that mean? Well, every single year, that means new tax brackets and tax changes. So I just wanted to have an episode to go through what are those changes that are coming in 2025 from 2024. A lot of these happen routinely every single year. Just a really good time to review kind of what are those updated contribution limits? What are those things that are changing in 2025? Don't want to get this confused with the coming likely tax changes. Legitimately with the tax code, with President Trump taking over in late January, and then the Republican Congress and Senate, that will be able to probably push through a tax bill here in the first half of 2025. We'll do a separate episode on that. I just want to talk today about your basic increases that are happening for 401ks, IRAs, etc. So let's get into it. I'm just going to go through each one, kind of explain briefly what that changes and what that different limit now is. Let's start with the 401k, right? 403b, TSP, the elective deferral limit from your paycheck for somebody that is under 50 years old is going to be $23,500 in 2025. That's a change of $500. For those that are age 50 and older, before year end, they're going to have a catch-up contribution of $7,500. That is no change from last year. So those that are under 50 can do $23,500. Those that are over 50 can do $31,000 total. Now, this part is new. This is the one new part to this entire thing is those that are 60, 61, 62, or 63 in 2025 are eligible for an extra special catch-up contribution. That extra special contribution is $3,750. So that total catch-up contribution for those that are 60 to 63 is going to be $11,250 on top of the $23,500. Now, don't want to get this confused with the employer contribution, typically, which is a match. That doesn't count in that $23,500 or that catch-up contribution. We're only talking about the employee portion, not the employer portion here. So this is the employee portion that comes out of your paycheck. Good numbers to know. If you want to max or are thinking about maxing your 401k, TSP, 403b this year, you got to know these numbers. You got to do the math typically. Okay, IRAs, right? Individual retirement accounts, $7,000 still, no change. So you're going to see with some of these things, the IRS doesn't really change it year to year. That's a little bit of a way they can kind of do their own inflation to bring in, more revenue, maybe not give you as big of a tax break. They might keep some of these limits the same. That catch-up contribution for IRAs, again, if you're 50 plus before year end, it's going to be an extra $1,000. There's no change for that from 2024. So same thing there. HSAs, health savings accounts. So only for those that have high deductible health plans, that total limit that you can contribute to an HSA is going to be $4,300 for just a solo HSA, and then $8,550 for a family HSA. So those are increases of $150 and $250 respectively. And then those catch-up contributions for HSA that are 55 and older before year end is going to be an extra $1,000. There's no change from 2024. So those are the big retirement plan contribution limits. So one last one I do want to talk about is that SEP IRA contribution limit. That's going to be your solo 401k. You might hear this referred to as your all additions limit. So for 401ks, this will also be the same limit of that employee that I was talking about earlier. Contribution of $23,500 plus the employer matching portion, right? Those cannot exceed $70,000 in 2025. That's an increase of $1,000 in 2024. So same limit for SEP IRAs, solo 401ks. It's called the all additions limit, most commonly for 401ks. So if you're a business owner, that $70,000 is going to be that max contribution in 2025. Okay, moving on to Social Security. So changes for 2025 after, a reasonable estimate or upgrade of 3.2% in 2024, the cost of living adjustment COLA for 2025 will be 2.5%. What does that mean? Well, if you're receiving Social Security, there's going to be a little bit of a bump. If you're working, we will have more income subject to Social Security taxes. So that Social Security wage base is going to be $176,100. So that first $176,000 of your wage will be subject to that 6.2% Social Security tax. So that's a fairly common increase, not really a surprise there. The annual gift tax exclusion is also increasing by $1,000 to $19,000 per person per year in 2025. We just did an episode on this, our very last episode. If you want to go back and listen to episode 59 on gifting and the annual gift tax exclusion, and how gifting annually like this and filling out this annual exclusion is like the most efficient way to get money out of your estate into the next generation. But that's going to be up from $18,000 to $19,000 per person per year. So just a refresher, we can give away that much per year per person and not have to report anything to the IRS. It doesn't eat into our lifetime exemption amount, which in 2024 was 13.61 million, and in 2025 is going to be 13.99 million. So you're going to see that increase with inflation as well per spouse. So this annual gift does not eat into that at all. We don't have to report it. None of that. We just get to give that to the next generation. So again, go back and listen to that if you want more on gifting, but that is going to increase in 2025 and is always a good number to be aware of. If you're gifting to the next generation, but even a niece, a nephew, a brother or sister, parent, whatever it may be. So income tax rates generally are not changing in 2025, right? Caveat, they're supposed to change in 2026. They're supposed to sunset back to what they were before the 2027 TCJA. But we're expecting a Republican tax bill, as I said, in the first half of this year that will probably make those tax cuts permanent. So income tax rates not changing. The income thresholds are increasing, right? So the brackets are moving up just with inflation. Another change, the standard deduction is increasing slightly by about $1,000 to $30,000 for couples filing jointly and $15,000 for single filers. So a nice round even 30, really easy to remember instead of that $29,000 that it was last year. A couple more ones that are changing again, just with really inflation. The qualified business income deduction, QBI deduction, thresholds have been adjusted. So the phase out range for single filers now is $197,300 and joint filers $394,600. So this really especially applies to those who are SSTBs, specified service trades or businesses. A little bit more complex. We should probably do a whole episode on QBI. That will be coming this year in 2025 for business owners. Another one that's changing would be the capital gains brackets, right? Also moving up. So again, we talk generally tax brackets. I'm not going to go through all those, but those are also moving up. So the 15% rate moving up to $533,000 for single filers and $600,000 for joint filers. The 20% rate is going to be above those thresholds. So again, just things to be aware of. Generally, you should have tax awareness. Where am I on the tax brackets? Where am I going to be this year? What opportunities maybe do I have to lower my lifetime tax bill? That could involve paying more tax this year. It could also involve paying less tax this year, maybe if I'm in a higher income year. It wraps up today. Again, changes that are coming. Nothing crazy from 2024 to 25. Really, the only wrinkle is that extra special catch-up contribution for those that are 60 to 63. Everything else is kind of generally increasing with inflation, but still really good numbers to be aware of. Having that tax awareness of where we're at, what we're making, where does that tax bracket maybe compare to our lifetime bracket, and then certainly, I think granularly for those that are trying to max out retirement accounts, SEP IRA, Solo 401ks, 401ks, 403bs, IRAs, Roth IRAs, etc. Knowing those annual limits is certainly key because they do change each and every year. And we do have to go into our financial institution typically and change those recurring monthly contributions or make that big chunk contribution before tax time. So I hope that this was really helpful. A nice short episode to kick off 2025. Let me know if you have any questions, and we'll see you next time in a couple weeks. Thanks. Thank you for joining us today. Do you want the exact financial planning framework that I use with clients? Go visit baskinfp.com where you can grab a free download of the ultimate military and veteran financial checklist to give you the bluff on what you need to be doing to manage your finances. We'll be back next week with some more content to help you on your journey to financial freedom. See you then.